Howdy partners, how are you doing? So in today's video, I am going to be making this adorable little gnome on the range cowboy using a stamp and die set, well several, from our new release. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here we go. And what I have here is I have the brand new Trinity Stamps Gnome on the Range stamp and die set. You can buy the stamps and dies separately. And I'll be using this little cowpoke, and he's going to be on an action wobbler. And I'll be using Happy Birthday and This Ain't Your First Rodeo. And what I have here is I have 3 pieces of pattern paper, a couple from my stash and one that I created, and then I have some sparkly paper. Then I will also be using these little sparkles from the Emergency Card Essentials number 2, also new in our release. And I'll be using some of these arches from our arched card die set, which is humongous. Okay, there are arches on this side of my magnet and arches on the other side, and this big arch that will create a card. I'm just going to be using the arches today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make kind of a tunnel card here. And I'm going to grab 3 sizes. I'm going to grab the A2 size and the 2 sizes below it. And fitting this on here, I can see I need to do some more coloring on here. And I did this to mimic my original. So I'm going to use some scattered straw, ink, and oxide, and use these little stars from the Hocus Pocus Gnomes to kind of recreate the paper that I had originally used in my prototype. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all these arches. So the first one, I'll cut out the whole arch. The second one, I'll cut out the largest and the smallest. And the third one, I'll cut out the large and the medium. And then off camera, I'll cut out all these little stars or little sparkles. And I've got 2 shades of gold, and don't miss these little dots because they're really cool. They're going to go on here too. So we'll go ahead and get our little cowpoke stamped out. And this howdy is so cute too. I won't be using it today, but you'll see it in future videos or on future samples on Instagram. And I'll be stamping him down on some alcohol marker friendly paper. And while I'm getting that done, I did want to mention that this is a hop, and you do have multiple chances to win a $25 gift card to Trinity Stamp Store. Follow along the hop, and on each video, like, subscribe, and comment. Make sure to leave a comment for a chance to win. The contest ends on the 9th of October at 11:59 Pacific, and then it'll be announced a few days later on the Trinity Stamps community tab on their Instagram and on their Facebook page. So I'm going to stamp him a couple of times to get him nice and dark, since it is a brand new stamp. And he's fairly dark now, but I'm just going to go once more just because. And I always set these aside to dry just for a few minutes. Of course, that few minutes goes by in a blink for you guys. But for us, we let it dry, because if you don't let it dry, then you could, smudge your ink, and we don't want to do that. So now I'm going to color, and I'm going to speed up the coloring. I'm using my Ohuhu markers. And for the larger parts, I'll do shading and things like that. But for smaller parts, I'll just do simple straight coloring, because there's just no need to try and get shading in there. The markers will bleed out before you can do anything else. And you will see some bleeding on here, but I do fix it. It's totally fixable, so no worries on that. That's the beauty of alcohol markers. So I'm making his little jacket red and his hat red. And see, I've got my colorless marker that I'm trying to blend that out a little bit. We'll go ahead and do his blue jeans. And then I'm going to go into my browns for my hat and my horse and my gloves and my boots. So he's got brown boots. And this is the cutest little guy, I'm telling you. My kind of cowboy. We'll just get his gloves colored in and his little boots. And then I'll go ahead and do the rope, and see, I'm just doing the rope in one single color. I will add a little bit of white highlight with a white gel pen off camera. Then I'll get his saddle done. And he's going to be a Palomino, so he'll be light in color. You can do your horse any way you want. You can do an old paint. You could do a quarter horse, whatever kind of horse you like. You could do a rainbow horse. I like it. Do it. So I'm just taking the lighter color here and just kind of going around the edges, and then I'll use my colorless blender to just sort of blend that out. Because he's basically white, but I didn't want to use gray. I'm trying to keep this a warmer card. So I'll go ahead and do the rungs on his little rocking horse. And then we'll get him done. Now, in my prototype, I took a knife and cut out around the inside of the ropes. But for this demonstration, I'm not going to do that. It's just in the interest of time. And then you saw there, I did, on my sentiments, I made a colored shadow layer. So I'm going to be using some red ink and some blue ink. And I'll go ahead and get out my Misty again, because I'm not a free range stamper, not ever. Well, maybe sometimes, but not that often, because I just am, I just don't have the steady hands to do it, and I trust a stamp positioner, whatever kind you like to use. And I will be also using some clear embossing powder, just for two reasons: to kind of help it dry, so I can move on, and to just raise it up and give it a little bit of shine. So we'll grab the happy birthday, and then we'll grab this ain't your first rodeo cowboy. I love this stamp set. It is just so stinking cute. And then we'll go ahead and get those stamped out. And I'll heat emboss them off camera, of course, because you don't need to sit there and watch me blow on something. So I'll go ahead and stamp those out. I'm not pressing super hard. I don't want to, mush out my letters. But this ink stays wet long enough to be able to go ahead and add embossing powder. So I'll emboss and cut those out off camera and be right back. Or not. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I actually made this video a while ago. All right, so I've got everything cut out here, and I'm ready to assemble my card. And you can see there that I have cut out some red paper for the shadow layer on the blue, and some blue paper for the shadow layer on the red. And I'm going to go ahead and start by popping up my first portion of my tunnel. And I'm just using this is just some, I don't know, medium, regular profile foam tape. And I'll peel a piece off there so that I can bend it around the corner. Now, it's not a shaker, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I still want it to be kind of nice. So I'll peel the backers off of there, and then I'll add some glue so that I have some wiggle room. And then I'll add that down to my main portion, which is the largest arch. And then this is the arch that was cut with the medium arch and the largest arch. So the first layer was cut with the largest arch and the smallest arch, so that we've got kind of a tunnel situation going on here. And then I'm just adding some thinner foam tape, because this is about a 1/4 inch. And then I'll add some wet glue again, of course, because yeah. And I always recommend that. And there we've got our arches, and I'm just going to kind of stand them up and make sure they're all nice and even. And then I'll glue them all down to my craft card base. Just make sure that that's straight and even on there on both sides. Just give it a little press to make sure it's dry, and then I'll go ahead and put on my little cowboy. And he, because he's on a rocking horse, he begs for an action wobbler. So I'll go ahead and take apart and work at taking apart. I don't know about you guys, but I struggle with the backer paper on these things sometimes. So I'm going to glue it down to the card base first. So I do add liquid glue so I have some wiggle room because, you know, I can't get these things straight. See, it's not straight, but now it's straight. And then I'll add some glue to the sticky part there, and I'll add my little cowboy on his rocking horse. So cute, so cute. How could you not wobble that? So I'm going to take, this ain't your first rodeo, and it's a long sentiment, so it's going to go all the way across. So I'm going to need to double up on foam tape on that to, you know, support it in the center. And then I'll glue it to each side. And I may need to do some trimming here to make sure that it fits within. So I'll just lift it and trim some off. Do we need to trim some more? Yep, we need to trim just a little bit more. I'll just lift that off and give it a trim. And now it should fit just perfect. There we go. And then I'll go ahead and glue that down. Just make sure it's good and stuck down and straight. And then I'll put one piece of foam tape on the happy birthday. And this is some foam tape that doesn't have any sticky on the back, so yours probably will, or maybe not. So now I've got it all put together. All I need to do now are the little sparkle stars, and so I'm going to put one right on the horse's hiney, because yes, he needs one there. Make sure it's on there nice and straight. And then I'm just going to go ahead and lay down all these sparkles just in random places on the card, using both colors, the light gold and the dark gold, just to kind of mimic the stars that I have on my background. And I've got, you know, pretty much primary colors. This card could be for anyone, but it's especially cute for a kid. So there's that. But this ain't your first rodeo kind of reminds me of old people like me, because it wouldn't be anywhere near my first rodeo. And I've got everything together here now, and you can put whatever you like on the inside. So there's my prototype, and there's my card that I made today using the Gnome on the Range, the Emergency Card Cut Essentials, and the arch shaped card dies. Thanks so much for watching and following along the hop. Take care. Bye-bye.